Hello, I'm Dr. Ashaye, and you're listening to Connecting the Dots with Dr. Ashaye. Have you had a stressful situation, like maybe someone cuts you off in traffic or says something you don't like, and then it just ruins your entire day? Or maybe even something more serious, like you hear something that affects a loved one, or you lose a job, or you're diagnosed with a health condition. While many things could trigger stress, there is something that we all would benefit from, which is quickly and effectively learning how to de-stress so that it doesn't affect our health. And this is because we know that chronic stress is linked to several health conditions, including diabetes, high cholesterol, high blood pressure, heart disease, insomnia, and so much more. In fact, studies show that 50 to 80% of illnesses have stress-related aspects, and 2/3 of appointments are for stress-related causes. So at the end of the day, we're all human beings. We will experience stress at one time or the other. It's going to happen. It's a given. However, how it ultimately affects us actually has much more to do with how we deal with it than the actual stressor itself. So our bodies don't like feeling stressed. So many times we come up with other things to relieve our stress, but sometimes the way we do that are not helpful. So some people will eat too much, some people will start smoking or drink a lot of alcohol, but it's important that we de-stress, but how we de-stress is also important. And managing stress is a very important life skill, and it's very, very important for our health. And so I'm going to share today proven tips for healthy stress management. So this is the 5th episode of our health transformation series. And I decided to really talk more about this because these are things that you probably don't hear a lot of doctors talking about. We put a lot of focus on, medications and testing and things like this, but these are foundational principles, basic things that we really need to get right. And if we don't get them right, all the other things that we're trying to do don't work quite as well. So that's why we started with restful sleep, so that you have the energy to engage in consistent physical activity. And then we discussed getting the right fuel in our bodies by eating healthy. We also talked about, not watering down our efforts by exposing ourselves to harmful substances. So if this is the first episode you're listening to, I encourage you to go back and start with episode 104. Each step is important, and we need all of them. We need all the different things we've talked about to be able to build a strong health foundation. So you're listening to Connecting the Dots with Dr. Ashaye. I'm Lola Ashaye. I'm a family medicine and lifestyle medicine doctor and owner of In Touch Primary Care in Sugar Land, Texas. And what we do here is we help you more easily become and remain healthy with direct access to a doctor, proactive health care, and also, we help you build a healthy foundation. So if you're tired of a reactive approach to your healthcare and you want to build a healthy lifestyle, our services are perfect for you. So what is health transformation? So the truth is, for transformation to occur, one really has to be tired of where they are. They want to move on. There's usually some restlessness, some dissatisfaction with the status quo, a yearning for more, a yearning for better. So if that's you, if you desire a healthier version of yourself, then I encourage you to go back and listen and join us on this journey. So my goal at the end of the series is that you have step-by-step instructions on how to build a healthy foundation. So let's talk about, chronic stress is a thing that we have to address, right? Because chronic stress increases our cortisol levels, and that increases chemicals that cause inflammation in our body. And when our body is under stress, it releases more glucose because it assumes we need more energy. Our bodies also when we are under prolonged exposure to stress, then we have more glucose in the blood, which leads to death of the beta cells, which is the cells that allow insulin to be produced. When we don't have enough insulin, it means the sugar just stays in the blood, right? The insulin has nowhere to go. It doesn't get transported into the cells where it's needed. And that's what increases our risk for things like prediabetes and diabetes. So there might be people that may have prediabetes or diabetes. Maybe you're eating better now, you're more physically active, you're trying to sleep more, but you are under a lot of chronic stress. If that's the case, that is still affecting the blood sugar, and the blood sugar would not improve as much as if you manage the stress well. This also happens with people with high blood pressure. Maybe you're lowering your sodium intake. Maybe you're consistently walking or running or jogging or swimming, but you're not properly managing stress. The blood pressure can continue to stay up in that scenario. And then you have people with insomnia. Maybe you're taking medications, but you are not doing any of the behavioral techniques to help to reduce worrying and stress, and you haven't learned how to relax and distress, then a lot of times those people continue to struggle with falling asleep or waking up often. So if you are trying to meet a health goal, the stress part needs to be sorted. This even goes for people trying to lower their weight. Sometimes you're eating healthy, you're doing exercise, but then you have high cortisol levels. So there's still inflammation, there's still insulin resistance. And so trying to lower your weight is not working. It's more challenging. So stress needs to be dealt with properly. So again, when our bodies feel stress, there's high blood sugar, there's inflammation, and so it affects how the body functions. However, when we try to do lifestyle changes and we do not address the stress part, we're not doing ourselves any favors, because a lot of all the other stuff don't work as well if stress is not addressed. But we know obviously it's not practical to avoid stress, and that's not what I'm talking about. But some of us have given up, and we sometimes treat stress like a friend or something that we need to tolerate or something that is a necessary evil. But while we cannot often avoid triggering a stressful event, we actually have the ability to determine how long we want it to affect us. And we also, of course, have the choice on how we deal with it. And that is why two people can go through two similar situations and come out with very different results, because they handle it differently. So as I continue to talk about this, if you know someone that needs to hear this, please go ahead and share this episode with them now. You can go ahead and share it with them. You can like this video and also subscribe. Those are other ways that you can tell other people to listen to this. By doing this, you're helping others learn information that could really improve their health. And I want to thank all those who have already subscribed. I really appreciate you supporting this mission to let people know just basic health information that will help them make huge differences in their health. So we know chronic stress is bad for our health, but how do we prevent it? It's obviously a work in progress. We get better and better as we practice. But the first step is understanding that, number one, stress reduction is intentional and should be proactive. So this means that we need to incorporate stress relieving activities into our daily routine. So in a way, since we already know that there's going to be stress, doing things daily to lower our stress hormones to start with, so that we're more resilient, so it will make us better able to handle stress when it comes. So these things do not have to be complicated. It could be as simple as just think about what makes me relax, and make sure that all through every day you try to incorporate it into your schedule. For some people, it's walking. For some people, it's journaling. Some people, it's listening to relaxing music. Some people are relaxed by exercise, some people are not. So you need to know what actually makes you feel, relaxed. Exercise is good. We've talked about that already. But if it stresses you out, then maybe that's not what you want to choose. Some people, it's something much more structures like mindfulness-based stress management practices. So it's important that when we identify what helps us distress, that we try to do them consistently. That way, this comes in very handy, especially when we're faced with an ongoing or prolonged stressful situation. So for example, let's say you're caring for a loved one who is not feeling well. This is the time to take that time to find something that relaxes you to help you de-stress now so you don't burn out. Or maybe there's something going on at work and it's very stressful. This is not the time to skip doing exercises. This is precisely the time that you need to, if exercise relaxes you, that you need to make sure you get it in every day so that it lowers your stress level. And you'll see this with many successful people. They always have something stress relieving in their schedule, either exercise, meditation, prayer, MBSM, therapy, something. And it's a non-negotiable part of their schedule, and because it works. So just wanted to put that out there, understanding that stress reduction should be intentional, should be proactive, should be consistent for the best results. The other thing I wanted to talk about stress is it's important to avoid prolonging the experience of stress. What do I mean? So sometimes, remember when we talked about getting caught up in traffic? That happens for a few seconds. One person will recover from that quickly and go on to enjoy their day. Another person will hang on to that feeling, that stress, the whole day, and it's going to just ruin their entire day. It's really up to us. It's a decision. When there's a trigger, a stressful trigger, the stressful trigger goes away in many cases pretty quickly. But then some people just hang on to the stress much longer. The trigger is gone. The person that cut you off has driven away, they're gone. The person that said something has walked away, they're gone, right? But sometimes we hold on to that feeling of stress. So there are many different techniques to learn to make sure to let go of stressful things as soon as possible. And it's important for our own health that when something triggers stress, now that we're aware that it's bad for our health, we should be very intentional about de-stressing as quickly as possible. And it's better to figure out what you want to do ahead of time. So for some people, it's taking deep breaths, right? When they get stressed out, instead of carrying it along, they start taking deep breaths. Some people say it aloud and make a decision aloud. I'm not going to let this affect me. I'm not going to let this bother me. Some people have like a short period of time that say, I'm going to give myself 2 minutes or 5 minutes to vent and just let it all out. And then I'm good after that. Some people will pray. Some people will run. Some people will walk, journal, talk, whatever it is. The point is, try to see what works for you. You can try different things, see what works for you, but try to let go of the stress when it occurs as soon as possible. Try not to dwell on it. Try not to focus on it, because the truth is the longer you allow that stressor to affect you, your cortisol levels are going up, your stress hormone levels are going up, and it's affecting your health negatively. It's not worth it. But the good news is our bodies, just as we have stress hormones, we have hormones that help us relax. And there are relaxation hormones that our bodies will respond to, whether we're doing it, whether we're trying to make ourselves relax, or whether we actually feel relaxed. Our bodies don't know the difference. So you can pick a technique that works for you to help your body relax and do it over time. The more you do it, the more you practice, the better you get at it. And that will help relieve stress. So the thing is, when we're stressed, we're less likely to engage in healthy behaviors. And for some, it actually triggers unhealthy behaviors like smoking or excessive eating or excessive alcohol. When we're stressed, it affects our sleep, it affects our mood, it actually affects our learning, our focus, our concentration. So learning healthy practices that lower stress First, by just, lowering your stress threshold by doing something daily, incorporating that into your daily lives. That'll be the first thing. And then intentionally and quickly engaging a stress technique. When you have an unexpected stressor happen, that is a powerful way to live because it can significantly positively affect your health when you learn how to manage stress. So, what healthy habits are you going to adopt today? What healthy stress management technique are you going to use? If you've made the decision to be healthier, maybe you're already doing a lot of the other lifestyle changes. But if you need to work on the stress management piece, don't push it to the side because it can affect everything else you're doing. So, if you're in the Houston area and you're interested in building a healthy lifestyle, you've heard these tips, you know you need some support in your health journey, you want to work with a doctor who is proactive about your health, then contact us here at In Touch Primary Care. You can join our waiting list for the Lifestyle Foundation program, which starts September 2024. And or you can learn more about our services. You can visit our website, intouchprimarycare.com, or call us 713-280-9985. And we look forward to helping you on your journey to better health. So imagine this. You're prioritizing your health. You started a consistent relaxation behavior. And now you quickly and effectively deal with stress in a healthy way. How do you think it'll make you feel? The thing is, you will definitely feel better. Your mood will be better. You probably have more friends. Your family will like you better, as a side effect. It's really certainly worth the time and the energy. So I hope that helps, and I'll see you next week on our Health Transformation series.